Now let's start with the cluster analysis. So as of the techniques that which you have discussed so far is supervised, right? Is the supervised learning techniques. Whereas the technique that which we will be discussing now is unsupervised learning technique. Okay, so it is a classific, it is a technique, or it is a cluster, it is an algorithm which is based on unsupervised, or you can call it as like unsupervised machine learning technique, that is clustering. Okay, so the meaning of clustering is something like grouping, I mean grouping the nearby items together. That is the meaning of clustering. So we use the cluster analysis for automatic identification of natural grouping of things. And this clustering can also be treated as like a segmentation technique. I mean how it works is like the data instances that are very similar will be categorized into one cluster, and the data instances that are very different or far away will be treated and that will be categorized as a separate cluster. Okay, and we call it as a unsupervised learning technique since there is no output or there is no dependent variable for which we can decide either the result which we have computed is right or wrong. And the other thing, the one more drawback or the one more thing with clustering is when we go for clustering, we will be making similar groups, right? So, like, am I going to group the clusters with three groups or four groups, or how many groups that I'm going to consider in my clustering? It is, I mean, like, it is up to the one who solves the problem. There is no fixed number of clusters for a problem to be get solved. I mean, like, for how many number of clusters are you going to consider in our group? How many number of clusters can be grouped from the given set of data? It depends on the problem. Like, it is a heuristic problem. Like, as per our like, one thing we can do is we have some methods uh, to verify or to validate that the number of clusters that which you have made is will be producing a right result or not. That we can do. Okay, so I mean, like, how many number of clusters can be done, how it fits and how it fits best, that we shall be discussing in the next applications. So here you can see a cluster analysis. I mean, a cluster has been showed you in three groups, right? A cluster has been showed in three groups. So you can see a cluster which has been categorized into three groups. And just give me a minute. Okay. So here you can see three clusters, that each small circle is called as data point. All the data points are nearly related, and where you can see a cluster. And where you can see some cases the data points will not be matching to any of the data group that we are considering, right? Some cases you can see the data point which will not be get matched with any of this. Those are what we call it as outliers. Those will not be fitting into our data, and even we need not to consider those data points which lies beyond that we call it as like outliers. Okay, so it is a difference between outlier and what we call as like a data point. And the next thing is centroid is most important in when we apply clustering. Let us see that how centroid is applied and how we are using it. Okay, so applications of clustering, cluster analysis. Like, we use clustering mostly. We can apply clustering in the field where we perform a large variety of transactions. Only in those places, in those fields, we can make use of clustering. Their clustering will provide us a better solution. Okay, so like, which clustering provides you more characterized, defined, and labels for populations, like market segmentation, customers who would buy some kind of products. I mean, like, business applications of cluster analysis in market research. So it is one of the, I mean, it is one of the real-time application where clustering is being used. And like you can see, like, some three examples of clustering applications are given. So one is market segmentation, so which categorizes customers according to their similarities. For example, if a set of customers, if you take Big Bazaar, or if you take DMart, you can see a set of customers will be buying one product item, and you can group based on that product item or based on the brand. For example, if you take television TV showrooms, you can see some set of customer will be looking for a product brand like Sony. Some may look for some other brand. Well, you can categorize based on their similarities or the other thing. You can look into like some kind of customers. They will be expensing some few amount like based on their budget. That also can be taken into account. With these things, these kind of things, the big bazaar or the shop or the retail stores, they can target. I mean, they can target some kind of marketing strategy can be developed to get to reach the customers. I mean, the end product of this is making customer satisfaction and making a profit revenue from it, right? That can be achieved. And second, like a product portfolio. If you get into like a clothing items, if you get into clothing shops, you can see based on the sizes, like a small, medium, large, and based on the items, things will be categorized, right? So one floor will be meant for one kind of shorts, and the other floor will be meant for other kind of ready-made, and the other floor will be meant for other kind of. It is also a small way of applying a cluster. So this is I'm just we are talking as an example, but when you're applying this, if aim on like as you're talking Big Bazaar, DMart, then the things will be a little bit varying. I mean, we'll be doing some mathematical calculations in in coming out with those results. So doing that mathematical computation, coming with the result is more important. And to understand the logic behind clustering and how it works, we are discussing these examples. Okay. And the third concept is text mining. This is most important when we talk about clustering, right? So text mining, where we will be trying to extract, or we'll be trying to do some kind of, where you're trying to find similarities between the contents in terms of like a text in documents, or it can be like where you're trying to extract some kind of text or data from the given file, text file, or it can be of anything. That is text mining. So from a given collection of text documents, what kind of similarities that you can take, what kind of similarities that you can make out of it. So it is also one area where cluster analysis works. For example, if you are given a collection of documents, from this you need to find the in patents, right? From these you need to find the patents. So based on the patents, you can categorize. I mean, you can group the part of each and every text document as a one whole thing. That will be acting as like a cluster in this particular case. Okay, and now let us see how to compute a cluster, how cluster works. See, clustering techniques. I mean, before getting into that, let me give a meaning for a cluster, right? A definition for a cluster. So cluster, what it does is, cluster is something which gives a representation to an where we have where you have some n object. From that, we can have some groups based on some measure of similarity. I mean, within the same group are like, but the objects in different groups are not same. So within the same group, you can see same objects will be there. For example, if you are given some 10 objects, or if you are given some 20 objects, or if you are given some 30 objects, okay? Let us take that we have given a 30 objects. From that 30 objects, we are going to form a group, right? So from that 30 objects, we are going to form a group. When you start trying to form a group, you need to make sure that the data point, I mean, like when you are making a group one, you will not be making all the objects into group one, right? We will be just relating the data. I will be relating the objects which are of same type will be grouped into group one, and which are of other category will be taken into group two, which are of other category will be taken into group three. For example, if I have a set of students who are registered for a conference, okay, let it be some 100 students. So from this I can categorize the student based on the college, or based on the department, or based on the area in which they are presenting the paper. Okay, so it is one small example of how it works. So here I can take the complete thing as n objects, and I can call the groups as k groups. Okay, so these are the two notations which we use in common to represent n objects, and this k will representing the clusters. Okay, it is like this k is a group of we will be coming out with the k groups. As a result, we will be coming out with k groups based on a measure of similarity. Okay, so this similarity, how we are interpreting it, how we are representing it, that differs. I mean, this clusters can differ in terms of shape, size, density. It can be anything. And few clusters are traditional types, like just small data points which all hangs together, and few can represent as like a circle, and few can see as like some concentric circles, and few can see some shapes. You can form as like a circle, you can form as like oval shape, ellipse, you can get some shapes like this. once if you form a cluster as again, and the data points which fall out don't have any proper algorithm. We don't have any particular algorithm to tell that um, how many number of clusters you're going to group from the given data set, but we can validate our results, the number of clusters that we have formed with the given data points. That validation can be made. Okay, so like inter-distance clusters are maximized, intra-cluster distance or minimized. Let us discuss this. What is the difference between intra and what is the inter? And here you can see a pseudocode for clustering. I mean, how clustering can be done. First, pick an arbitrary number of groups. I mean, pick some appropriate number of groups or segments which you want to make it as a clear as like a segmentation technique. And second, start with initial random choose and center value for groups. You can start with some values, and we use Android in calculating this. And third, classify instances to closest to groups. Whatever that we get, you just categorize into groups. And fourth, compute new values for the group centers. Again, you need to start from the beginning and repeat this again and again until you cover all the data points. In case if you see some data points which are not matching to your things, then those can be ignored. Okay, then those things can be get ignored. And let us see a small clustering exercise problem. See, here you can see a clustering exercise. We have given two values like x and y. Okay, so what is the object of this is you need to determine the number of clusters and the center points of those clusters. That is what the objective of this. You need to determine the number of clusters and center point of those clusters. Almost you are given 10 items. In this you can see like 10 items are given, and you can see 10 items in two dimension, that is x and y. Okay, and this clustering techniques are like a bottom up technique, or you can call this like a top down approach. If you take a K-means algorithm, that works on a top down approach. Okay, so let us see how this works. And here you can see a set of data points which is giving plotted. I mean, you can see 10 set of data points in the screen. So you can see 10 set of data points where whether we reach it, I mean like which is shown with 10 set of data points. And initially I don't know where to start a cluster. I don't know where to start it, right? For this we have one thing called modal value. It is also called mode. That mode and centroid is most important in these clustering concepts. Okay, so first initially I will be starting with the one cluster. This is the centroid calculated from it. Next, what I need to do is, next I need to group the nearby items to this cluster. That is the next thing. See, next I need to group this to the nearby items for this cluster. Next, what I need to do is next I will be getting three clusters. I will be getting three clusters. I will be getting three groups. Next, I will be getting three groups. I will be getting three centroid points, and the nearest data point to the centroid points can be grouped as a cluster one. And second can be grouped as a cluster two. Third can be grouped as a cluster three. It is a random manner. It is nothing like they should be cluster one, they should be cluster two, they should be cluster three. It can be in any order. And let us see one more example for this. Okay, so how this can works with K-means algorithm. Like K-means is the most popular clustering algorithm, and how this does is it iteratively computes the clusters and its androids. It repeatedly computes the clusters and their androids, and and their centroids. It repeatedly computes the clusters and their centroids, and as I told you, it is a top-down approach to clustering. And initially we start with a given number of clusters, that is we call it as like a K clusters, right? And let us see a small example for this, right? So I mean the pseudocode for same K clusters is choose K number of random data points as initial centroids. I mean cluster centers. Repeat till cluster centers stabilize. I mean allocate each data point in D nearest to the K centroid. And let us see this. Okay, and here you can see in this graph, I mean the same exercise problem which is given earlier, that will be get solved with K-means clustering. Okay, so initially let us assume that we are going to proceed with three clusters. Okay, so let us treat that we are going to try with three clusters, and we'll be going with the three initial cluster centroids. We'll be coming out with three centroids, right? We'll be coming out with three centroids, and we'll be having a three cluster points. Okay, so for this data point we need to compute the distance values from each three centroids. Like we need to compute the distance value from three centroids, and to which centroid the distance value is less, right? To which centroid the distance value is less. that particular data point has to be moved nearest to that clustered point. Fine. So initially we are starting with three centroid data points. And next thing what we need to do is, and whatever we need to calculate the distance values for the given data point with the centroid. And next, whatever the small distance value is less, that data point should be get moved near to that cluster. I mean, it can be grouped in that cluster. That is the meaning of it, right? And you can see some arrows representing and arrows some arrows pointed to those centroid points. So these are arrows from each data element shows the centroid that the point is assigned to. I mean, for example, 4, 7 is assigned to this centroid, and 5, 7 is assigned to the centroid 2, and 5, 2 is assigned to centroid 3. Okay, now the centroid, now what we need to do is we need to recalculate. I mean, we need to start the process again. We need to recalculate the centroid for each cluster, and we need to make sure that it is closest to all data point that is allocated to each cluster, right? And now you can see the difference. I mean, like some dashed arrows will be there, some you can see some dashed lines and straight lines, right? Some dashed arrow and this some straight line arrows. And earlier we have seen a data point which is there, and now you can see a dashed arrow, and you can see one small circle one small circle which is moved from the left to right in the first cluster, and second cluster you can see it is moved over the next, and third cluster you can see moved over the third. And you can see now these three will be shaded, and the other three you can see small straight unshaded is there, right? So this dashed arrow, the new represents the new centroid points, whereas the old one which is shaded, which is a light shade color, this represents it as an old cluster. I mean old centroid or old cluster data value. Okay, so it is the difference between now we are taking centroid points. Initially, we have taken three centroid data points, and we are trying to relate to this. And now we need to recalculate the centroid value. And now, after recalculating it, we need to move the centroid one to the newest place. Like, so you can see the oldest value will be given, will be the oldest shan will be shown with the shade, the newest value will be shown with the black one. Like, so moving from old value to new value. And again we need to repeat the same thing, right? So once again the data points are assigned to the three centroids closest to it. Now we are trying to now we are trying to relate the data points to the nearest cluster, to the nearest data points. So as a result you can see, no, not even a single data point is missed, nowhere a data point is missed, or nowhere a data point is left out. And now what I can say is, like you can see these two values 5, 6 and 6, 6, whereas this 6, 6 is is related to the which has been shifted to this centroid, this has been shifted to this centroid based on the distance value. And now as a result you can see we have three set of centroids, three set of clusters. Okay, so as a result we are getting three clusters from this algorithm. We are resulting with three clusters. Okay, so now you can see we have three cluster data points. Three data points with cluster centroid. If you compute this, you will get three data points clustered centroid 6.5, 4.5 first centroid, and second centroid will be 4.5, 3, and the third centroid will be 3.5, 3. If you compute it, you can get it. I told you like how to get a centroid for a value. It is, and we have one more term called modal value. This modal value is means just like a mode. Okay, and next we'll be talking about how to select the right number of clusters. Okay, how to select the right number of clusters. See, the correct choice of having the value of k, the number of clusters, the correct choice of having the value of k, having the number of clusters is little bit ambiguous. So we can't talk, we can't represent, we can't convey, we can't come out with a solution that it is either a two cluster or three cluster. We need to do it. And to do this, we have one method called elbow method, right? We have one method called elbow method. So to determine the number of clusters in a data set, we can use a method called elbow method, which will help you to come out with the number of number of clusters which can be taken from the data, from a given data set, that can be get known. So as we have discussed, like each and every technique has its own drawbacks, has its own advantages and disadvantages. And the advantage of K-means is simple, easy to compute, easy to implement, and it is also which requires less time computation. And when you take the other clustering algorithm, we have even k nearest neighbor also. When comparing to those algorithms, this works best. I mean, which is efficient than the others, both in time and solving the myths. And when you go for the other things, problem will be little bit complex. But that has its own advantage. This has its own advantage. And disadvantage is that we need to specify an initial value. Without initial value, we can't start with this. And second thing, I mean, we need to repeat this until we converge all the data points, until we relate all the data points into our problem. And third will be like it is not suitable for discovering clusters. I mean, we can't come out with the right number of clusters. We'll not be computing the clusters. Okay.